Have you ever noticed how your anxiety seems to grip you tighter the more you try to push it away? You're lying awake at 3 in the morning, heart racing, mind spinning with worry, and every technique you've tried, every breathing exercise, every positive affirmation, every attempt to calm yourself down, just seems to make it worse. It's like being trapped in quicksand, where the more you struggle, the deeper you sink. But what if I told you that Buddhist monks discovered something over 2,000 years ago that completely transforms anxiety the moment you understand it? Not by fighting it, not by running from it, not by trying to think positive thoughts, but through a perspective shift so profound that anxiety literally cannot exist in its presence. This isn't about meditation apps or breathing techniques or any of the usual advice you've heard 1,000 times. This is something far more fundamental, far more powerful, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Your relationship with anxiety will never be the same again. So if you're ready to discover what the monks have known for millennia, stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you has the potential to change everything. Let me start with a story that illustrates exactly what we're talking about here. There was once a young monk who came to his teacher in a state of terrible anxiety. His hands were shaking, his breathing was shallow, and he could barely sit still. He told his master that he was terrified of the demons that visited him every night in his meditation cell. These demons were horrifying, grotesque creatures that threatened him, mocked him, and filled him with absolute dread. He had tried everything to get rid of them, chanting, praying, even attempting to fight them off, but nothing worked. The more he resisted, the stronger they became. His teacher looked at him calmly and said something that must have seemed completely insane in that moment. He said, "Tonight, when the demons come, invite them in for tea. Set out your finest cups, offer them the best seat, and ask them about their journey. Treat them as honored guests." The young monk was bewildered, but he trusted his teacher, so that night he did exactly as instructed. When the demons appeared, instead of cowering in fear or trying to banish them, he bowed respectfully and invited them to sit with him. He asked them where they had come from and what they wanted to teach him. And here's what happened. The moment he stopped fighting them, the moment he turned toward them with curiosity and acceptance instead of resistance and fear, they began to dissolve, not because he had defeated them, but because he had fundamentally changed his relationship to them. By morning they were gone, and they never returned with the same power again. Now you might be thinking this is just a nice metaphorical story, but what I'm about to show you is that this principle is not metaphorical at all. It's actually describing the precise mechanism through which anxiety operates, and the exact key to dissolving it. You see, anxiety has a secret, and once you understand this secret, anxiety loses its grip on you completely. The secret is this: anxiety is not actually the problem. I know that sounds contradictory when anxiety feels like the most pressing problem in your life, but stay with me here. Anxiety itself is not the source of your suffering. Your resistance to anxiety is what creates the suffering. Your attempt to push it away, to make it stop, to control it, to fix it, that's where the real pain lives. The Buddha taught something that sounds almost too simple to be true, but its implications are staggering. He taught that suffering comes from resistance to what is, not from pain itself, not from difficult emotions themselves, but from our refusal to allow them to be present. Think about it this way. When you feel anxiety arising, what's your immediate response? You tense up. You think, "Oh no, not this again." You start frantically searching for ways to make it go away. You might distract yourself with your phone, with food, with work, with anything that will pull your attention away from that uncomfortable feeling. You might start bargaining with yourself. If I just get through this presentation, if I just make it to the weekend, if I just solve this one problem, then I'll feel better. Or you might start catastrophizing. This feeling means something is terribly wrong. What if it gets worse? What if I can't handle it? What if this never goes away? Notice what's happening in all of these responses. You're not actually experiencing anxiety anymore. You're experiencing your resistance to anxiety. You're experiencing your thoughts about anxiety. You're experiencing your fear of anxiety. You're experiencing your desperate attempts to escape from anxiety. And this resistance, this struggle, this is what creates the suffering. The anxiety itself is just a sensation in your body. It's just energy moving through you. It's just your nervous system responding to something, but your mind turns it into a monster. Your mind creates a whole narrative about what this feeling means, about how unbearable it is, about how you need to get rid of it immediately. And in doing so, your mind actually amplifies the very thing you're trying to escape. Here's where the Buddhist insight gets really interesting. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a concept called the second arrow. The Buddha said that when we experience pain, it's like being struck by an arrow. That first arrow is inevitable. It's the pain itself, the anxiety itself, the uncomfortable sensation. But then we shoot ourselves with a second arrow, and this second arrow is our reaction to the first arrow. It's our judgment, our resistance, our story about the pain. And here's the crucial part. The second arrow causes far more suffering than the first. In fact, most of what we call suffering is actually the second arrow. So when you feel anxiety, the anxiety itself might be uncomfortable, but it's manageable. It's just a sensation. What makes it unbearable is all the things you pile on top of it. The thought, I shouldn't be feeling this. The thought, something is wrong with me. The thought, I can't handle this. The thought, this has to stop right now. The frantic search for solutions, the tensing up against it, the shame about having anxiety, the anxiety about your anxiety, all of these are second arrows, and they hurt far more than the original anxiety ever could. Now here's where it gets really powerful. If the second arrow is the real problem, then the solution isn't to get rid of anxiety. The solution is to stop shooting the second arrow. The solution is to stop resisting. And this is exactly what that young monk discovered when he invited the demons in for tea. He stopped fighting. He stopped resisting. He stopped shooting the second arrow. And when he did that, the demons lost their power. This is the Buddhist secret. The way out of anxiety is through it, not around it. The way to make anxiety disappear is not to make it disappear, but to allow it to be here. I know this sounds paradoxical. How can allowing anxiety make it go away? But this paradox contains the entire key to freedom. You see, anxiety feeds on resistance. It grows stronger when you fight it. It's like that Chinese finger trap toy. You know, the woven tube that you put your fingers into, and the harder you pull to get free, the tighter it grips. But the moment you stop pulling, the moment you actually push your fingers deeper into the trap and relax, you slide right out. Anxiety works exactly the same way. When you resist it, when you tense up against it, when you try to push it away, you're actually sending your nervous system a message that there really is something to be afraid of. You're confirming to your brain that this feeling is dangerous, that it's a threat, that you need to be in fight or flight mode. And so your nervous system ramps up even more. More adrenaline, more cortisol, more tension, more anxiety. You've created a feedback loop where your resistance to anxiety creates more anxiety, which creates more resistance, which creates more anxiety. But when you stop resisting, when you actually turn toward the anxiety with curiosity and openness, something remarkable happens. You're sending your nervous system a completely different message. You're saying, this feeling is okay. I can be with this. There's no emergency here. And your nervous system begins to calm down. Not because you forced it to calm down, but because you removed the fuel that was keeping it activated. You broke the feedback loop. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Imagine you're about to give a presentation and you start feeling anxious. Your heart is racing, your palms are sweaty, your stomach is in knots. Now the typical response would be to panic about these sensations. Oh no, everyone's going to see how nervous I am. I need to calm down. Why is this happening? I can't do this if I'm feeling like this. And with each of these thoughts, the anxiety intensifies. But what if instead you tried the Buddhist approach? What if you noticed the anxiety arising and you said to yourself, there's anxiety. Hello, anxiety. I feel you in my chest, in my stomach, in my hands. You're welcome to be here. You don't have to go away for me to give this presentation. You're just energy moving through my body. And then you bring your attention to the actual physical sensations without the story. You notice the tingling, the warmth, the tension, just as pure sensation, the way you might notice the feeling of sunshine on your skin or the coolness of water. You're not trying to make it go away. You're not judging it as bad. You're just allowing it to be exactly as it is. And here's what happens. Without the resistance, without the story, without the second arrow, the anxiety begins to shift. It might not disappear immediately, but it stops being unbearable. It stops being a problem. It's just a sensation, and sensations are always changing, always moving, always temporary. You might even find that when you stop resisting the anxiety, when you actually make space for it, it gives you energy. That's what anxiety is, after all. It's activation energy. It's your body getting ready to perform, to be alert, to rise to a challenge. Athletes feel this before a big game. Performers feel this before going on stage. It's only a problem when we label it as a problem and try to get rid of it. This is what the Buddhists discovered through thousands of years of observing the mind. They saw that all of our emotional pain, all of our psychological suffering, comes from this basic pattern of resistance. We want pleasant experiences to stay, and we want unpleasant experiences to go away. We're constantly grasping and pushing away, clinging and resisting, and this constant struggle is exhausting. It's like trying to swim against a powerful current. You wear yourself out and you don't get anywhere. But what if you stopped struggling? What if you just let the current carry you? This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means relaxing into what is, working with reality instead of against it. There's a teaching in Zen Buddhism that says, the obstacle is the path. Your anxiety isn't something blocking your way to peace. It's actually the doorway to peace if you're willing to walk through it instead of trying to go around it. Every moment of anxiety is an opportunity to practice this radical acceptance, this turning toward instead of away. And each time you do this, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching your nervous system that these feelings are safe, that you can handle them, that they don't need to trigger an emergency response. Neuroscience has actually confirmed what the Buddhists knew all along. When you bring mindful, non-judgmental awareness to your anxiety, when you observe it without trying to change it, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for calm, rational thinking. This helps regulate the amygdala, the part of your brain that's screaming danger, threat, panic. You're literally creating new neural pathways that lead to calm instead of escalating anxiety. But here's something crucial that you need to understand. This isn't about using acceptance as a strategy to get rid of anxiety. If you turn toward your anxiety with the secret agenda of making it go away, you're still resisting. You're still fighting. True acceptance means accepting that the anxiety might not go away. It means being willing to feel anxious. It means giving up the demand that you should feel differently than you do right now. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They hear this teaching and they think, okay, I'll accept my anxiety so that it will go away. But that's not acceptance. That's manipulation. That's still resistance wearing the mask of acceptance. Real acceptance is saying, I'm willing to feel this anxiety for as long as it needs to be here. I'm willing to feel uncomfortable. I don't like it, but I'm not going to fight it. And paradoxically, this genuine acceptance, this true letting go of the fight, is exactly what allows anxiety to dissolve. Not because you're trying to make it dissolve, but because you've removed the very thing that was keeping it alive. There's another Buddhist concept that's helpful here, and it's called impermanence. Everything changes, everything passes, every sensation, every emotion, every thought arises, exists for a moment, and then dissolves. Nothing stays. Anxiety feels permanent when you're in the middle of it. It feels like it will last forever, like you'll be stuck in this awful feeling for the rest of your life. But this is just a trick of the mind. In reality, anxiety is constantly changing. If you pay close attention to the actual sensations of anxiety without the story, you'll notice that they're not solid at all. They're flowing, shifting, pulsing. One moment the sensation is in your chest, then it moves to your throat, then it softens a bit, then it intensifies, then it spreads, then it contracts. It's never the same for 2 seconds in a row, and if you can just stay present with these changing sensations, if you can ride the waves without getting caught up in the story about them, you'll notice that they do pass. They always pass. No emotion lasts forever unless you keep recreating it with your thoughts. This is tremendously liberating because it means you don't have to do anything with your anxiety except allow it to move through you. You don't have to fix it, solve it, understand it, or make it go away. You just have to stop interfering with its natural process of arising and passing. Think of anxiety like weather. Clouds come, clouds go, rain falls, then the sun comes out. You wouldn't stand outside in a rainstorm shaking your fist at the sky, demanding that it stop raining. You'd just take shelter, let the rain fall and know that it will pass. Your inner weather is the same. Anxiety is just a storm system moving through. If you fight it, you suffer. If you allow it, you're free. Now, I want to address something important because I know some of you might be thinking, but my anxiety is different. My anxiety is about real problems in my life. There are real things I need to worry about. And you're right. Sometimes anxiety is pointing to something that needs your attention. But here's the key distinction. There's a difference between genuine concern that motivates useful action and anxious rumination that just keeps you stuck in suffering. If your anxiety is about a problem that you can do something about right now, then do it. Take action. But if your anxiety is about something you can't control, something in the future, something hypothetical, then it's just your mind spinning stories, and the most skillful thing you can do is come back to the present moment and practice acceptance. The Buddhist approach isn't about ignoring real problems. It's about not adding unnecessary suffering on top of them. It's about responding to life's challenges from a place of clarity and calm, rather than from a place of panic and resistance. And you can only access that clarity and calm when you stop fighting with your internal experience. There's a beautiful practice in Buddhism called just this. When anxiety arises, instead of launching into all your habitual reactions, you simply acknowledge just this sensation in my body, just this thought in my mind, just this moment, exactly as it is. Not the moment 5 minutes from now when you hope you'll feel better, not some idealized moment where you're perfectly calm. Just this moment with all its imperfection, with all its discomfort. When you can be fully present with just this, anxiety loses its power, because anxiety is always about the future, about what might happen, about what you're afraid will happen, about what you think you can't handle. But in this moment right now, you're okay. You're breathing. You're alive. You're experiencing sensations, yes, some of them uncomfortable, but you're experiencing them, which means you're handling them. You're doing it right now. The anxiety hasn't destroyed you. It's just here, and you're here with it. This is what those Buddhist monks understood. They spent countless hours simply sitting with whatever arose in their minds and bodies, not trying to achieve any special state, not trying to get rid of anything, just sitting with what is. And through this practice, they discovered that everything we're afraid of, every uncomfortable feeling, every difficult emotion, is completely workable when we stop resisting it. They discovered that peace isn't found by eliminating all discomfort from life. Peace is found by changing your relationship to discomfort. So let me give you something practical you can try right now or the next time anxiety arises. When you feel anxiety coming up, pause, take a breath. And then, instead of running through all your usual anxiety-fighting strategies, try this. Locate the anxiety in your body. Where do you feel it most strongly? Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat, your shoulders? Then bring your attention directly to that sensation. Not to your thoughts about the sensation, but to the raw physical feeling itself. Notice what it actually feels like. Is it hot or cold? Is it moving or still? Is it sharp or dull? Is it tight or loose? Is it surface level or deep inside? Get curious about it the way a scientist might observe something under a microscope. You're not trying to make it go away. You're not trying to understand why it's there. You're just feeling it, fully and directly without judgment. And as you do this, see if you can soften around it, not trying to relax the sensation itself, but relaxing your resistance to it. Imagine you're making space for it, like you're opening up the area around it, giving it room to be exactly as it is. You might even silently say to yourself, "It's okay. You can be here. I've got space for you." And then, just breathe with it. Let your breath flow naturally while you maintain this gentle, curious attention on the sensation. Don't try to breathe it away or breathe through it. Just breathe while you feel it. Stay with this for a few minutes if you can, and notice what happens. You might find that the sensation shifts or changes. It might get stronger for a moment, or it might soften. It might move to a different location, or it might stay exactly the same. All of these are fine. You're not doing this to achieve any particular result. You're doing this to practice being with what is. And this practice, this simple practice of turning toward your anxiety with acceptance instead of resistance, is the Buddhist secret. It's not complicated. It's not esoteric. It doesn't require years of meditation training. It just requires a willingness to stop fighting and start allowing. But I want to be honest with you, this isn't always easy. Your mind will resist this approach. It will say, "This is stupid. This won't work. I need to do something more active to fix this problem." That's okay. That's just your mind doing what minds do. You don't have to fight with that thought either. You can just notice it, acknowledge it, and gently return your attention to the practice of presence and acceptance. And it's important to understand that this might not be a one-time thing. You probably won't do this once and never feel anxiety again. Anxiety will arise again because anxiety is part of being human. But each time you practice meeting it with acceptance instead of resistance, you strengthen this new way of relating to it. You build confidence in your ability to be with discomfort. You prove to yourself that these feelings can't actually harm you. Over time, something shifts. You might still feel anxiety, but you're no longer afraid of it. You're no longer at war with it. And when you're not at war with your anxiety, when you're not spending all that energy fighting and resisting and trying to escape, you discover that you have access to a deep wellspring of peace that was there all along, underneath the struggle. This is what the Buddhists have been pointing to for thousands of years. This is the freedom they discovered. Not freedom from anxiety, but freedom in the midst of anxiety. Not a life without discomfort, but a life where discomfort is no longer a problem. You see, the human mind is wired to resist discomfort. It's a survival mechanism. But in our modern lives, this mechanism often works against us. We're not running from tigers anymore. Most of what triggers our anxiety isn't actually dangerous. It's just uncomfortable. And we've been conditioned to believe that uncomfortable equals bad, that we should do whatever it takes to avoid feeling bad. But the Buddhists would say this conditioning is the root of our suffering. The belief that we shouldn't feel anxious, that something is wrong when we do feel anxious, that we need to get rid of it as quickly as possible, these beliefs create a war inside us. And in that war we always lose, but you can choose to stop fighting. Right now, in this moment, you can decide to try a different approach. The next time anxiety arises, remember that young monk and his demons. Remember that the path to peace isn't through defeating your inner demons, but through inviting them in for tea. Remember that anxiety isn't your enemy. Your resistance to anxiety is. Remember that this moment, with all its imperfection, is exactly as it should be, and you're capable of being with whatever it contains. This is the Buddhist secret. This is how anxiety disappears, not by being pushed away, but by being fully allowed. And once you truly understand this, once you experience it directly, everything changes. You're no longer at the mercy of your anxiety. You're free.